Sorry, we'll take that again.
Students who are in SS3 who would, because March will be the next SAT,
exactly.
right? Okay, so that's their first opportunity. Okay. So
yes, it's good to take that. So the thing about preparing for the SAT, like we stated earlier, is that starting early is very important. And if they're in SS3 now, I would strongly advise that they take the one in March, just to have an idea of how the exam looks. I know that in the month of May and June, they'll be writing their final exam in school. And then they can join us for the boot camp that'll be coming up in August. We have a boot camp that starts early July all through the summer, and then they'll write the August exam. So I think that calendar will help them be able to meet with the early action application.
Great, thank you. Now, the next question is similar, but the only other part of it I'm going to read out is there any application fees to American colleges can be waived on coming up? I think so.
Sometimes, Mr. Evans, you can explain.
No, please go on. No, please go on. No.
It depends on the school, and it depends on how early you apply. I think Mr. Efron would concur with that. If you're applying regular decision, the opportunities for waivers are sometimes very, very limited because you're applying so late in the application process.
Yeah.
I just say that to be quite honest with you. If you think about it, in the United States alone, there's 71 million students seeking vouchers, waivers for test taking. Here in the United States, students get 4 free vouchers for the SAT. So the vouchers are limited even in the United States for people who apply late. So there are opportunities for you to get waivers and vouchers, but you have to apply for them very, very, very early. Mr. Ephraim, you can piggyback on that, but it's very competitive.
There it is.
Awesome. Jasmine, is Jasmine still around? I'm really excited about Jasmine's question, and the fact that he's a student and he's on this webinar is very impressive, because we try and get students to come for this webinar. Jasmine, are you there, Njoku? Are you there? You had a question. Anyway, Jasmine. Oh, hi, Jasmine. Lovely to have you here. It's really nice to have a student on board with us today. Thank you for your question. We're going to attempt to try and answer your question. Jasmine is in 11th grade, and he wants to go into the medical field in the US.
Awesome.
He would love a guide on the do's and don'ts. He's writing his IGCSEs next year, May, graduating in July. So he would like to know what the potential scholarship opportunities are. So over to you, Dr. Bell.
So first of all, congratulations on wanting to enter the medical field. One of my degrees is in the medical field, so welcome to the medical field. I can say that. I would say, first of all, make sure that you have above a 3.5 documented GPA. Because if you have a 3.5 documented GPA and you make the equivalent of a 30 on the ACT or in the 1400 range on the SAT, there are many what we call advanced terminal degree programs for medical school throughout the US. So the University of Alabama, Birmingham, I'll just use that as an example, but there's several schools, even Ivy League schools, that will allow you to come to school and complete your 4 years of undergraduate and your 4 years of medical school in 5 years. But it is one size fits all. What I mean by that is you can only start the accelerated programs coming out of high school into your freshman year because you go to school year round. You're in school in the summer. And so it's a very segmented program. If you miss the deadlines for those programs, you would never be able to get into them again. It's one size fits all. However, many of those schools also give you the opportunity to work in Jasmine, have you decided what type of doctor that you want to be yet?
As of right now, I'm thinking dermatology, but I'm also looking at biomedical engineering. So my options are quite open.
So I can speak personally to that. My first degree was in biomedical engineering. My mother was a double major in chemistry and biology. My grandmother was a nurse practitioner. My grandfather was a surgeon. And I felt the same way. I was like, do I do the technology part or do I actually go into actually clinically taking care of patients? So I want to give you some other opportunities as well. Do not rule out nursing, nursing informatics. Nursing has the opportunity for you to actually take care of patients prior to being enrolled in medical school, but you can also, as a nurse, if you liked, you could work during medical school. And so that's just an opportunity that you wouldn't have as a biomedical engineer during medical school. But there, also think about your terminal degree as well. If you are interested in academic medicine, many programs have MD, PhD programs, which was a program that I was accepted to and was, did very well in. I had the opportunity to do research at the National Institute of Health, and that's why I decided that I did not want to continue to pursue my medical degree. I went the PhD route. But there's academic medicine, like you really need to think about what is it that you want to do in medicine as your end result. So I do biomedical research as an end user researcher. I take the technology of what's being developed and I use it actually with true clients. And so I chose to go the nursing route with my biomedical engineering degree and then get a PhD at the end so that I could do all the things that I wanted to do. That's not to discourage you. It's just there's several routes for you to become a physician. So just think about the end route is, it doesn't matter what you major in the United States or globally, you will have to take the classes that are prerequisites for medical school. Once you have finished those prerequisites, you will take a test called the MCAT, and then you will apply for medical school through a program called AMCAS, AMCAS. You apply a year before you go. So in the same way that you're preparing for the ACT and the SAT, you want to start preparing for the MCAT. I would suggest in your sophomore year of college so that you are able to apply to AMCAS your junior year and be accepted to medical school early, because you can do summer programs at many of the medical schools that are paid programs for research or paid programs for actually doing clinical work with students. I would suggest the University of Alabama in Birmingham, and let me tell you why. Number one, they have a dual degree program that is a terminal program where you could be out of school in 5 years. But I also do research with Southern Research, and they just received $69 million to help students to do clinical research. So you would have an opportunity to do clinical research all through undergraduate and then to work at UAB Hospital. That's just one example of decision makers that I know personally because I'm on the board for Catalyst. But you have those same types of programs at Ivy League schools as well. Just depends on where you want to go. So the more that, once you contract with Dr. Osman, I'll be more than happy to kind of guide you a little bit because you really will need to make a decision on your specialty. It makes a difference on the medical school that you apply to. So I don't want to throw so much information at you, but great opportunities, Jasmine.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bell. So
no worries. Thank you for the question.
I knew that when Dr. Bell is talking to a student, she would talk and cancel and say a lot of things. This is what we do, actually. This is what Dr. Bell does for 2 hours, sometimes with parents. And she just enjoys it. You can see that she enjoys it. She has a lot of information. She has a lot of knowledge about this. So it's not just about the scholarships, it's about the courses that the student is doing, and it's about the right schools as well and the right opportunities. And I know if we had time, she would have told you about the combined courses that you can do, because you can do a combined degree for medicine that allows you to fast track as well. So all of that is what you actually get when you have a one-on-one with her. So you can imagine what you got today. And, if you're just one-on-one in the same room, it's massive. So thank you so much for that, Dr. Bell. And thank you for asking that question, young student that is with us. This is also similar to that, but we do masters. Can you speak a bit to, we have quite a few on who have asked the same questions. I'm going to be racing through the questions because there are quite a lot of them. So, but our audience would like to know something, what you can do on graduates who are applying, particularly this one, neuroscience, MSc, in terms of scholarships and all of that, or what do they get? What's the graduates? What do you do for graduates?
So we do prep as well. If they come to us already with a high score, that's great. Most of the time, students, their scores are usually 10 points or so below where they need to be for assistantships. But we will help students who are interested in receiving internships and assistantships to go through that process. We guide students in the right, it's the same process in finding the right graduate school for you. I was blessed to be on the executive board for the American Education Research Association when I was in graduate school. And so there are fellowships and assistantships that come from national organizations that you can apply for. Like AERA has a minority fellowship that's $96,000 a year, and it's open to international students. And when I was the national director, like students wouldn't even apply, possibly because they didn't even know it existed. So the National Science Foundation, I mean, there's so many different organizations that have scholarships for international students. It's important for you to know, first of all, what are the application requirements for the program? When are the admission cycles? Some graduate schools only do fall and spring. There are some that do rolling admissions. There's some that do summer admissions, because you need to plan that. You need to think about residency. So if you are an international student and you come to the United States and you work, particularly in that state, for longer than 6 months to a year, sometimes you can actually apply for residency there and get resident scholarships. You know, it just depends on the school. But once you know what graduate school you're interested in applying to, the next question is you need to find out whether they are a GMAT school or a GRE school. Most of the MBA programs are going to expect you to take the GMAT. Many of the other schools will expect the GRE, but if your GPA is high enough and you have a strong enough application, some schools, once they see your application, they may waive your GRE score and make you do what's called a time writing assessment. So I can use USC as an example. I had very, very, very high GRE scores. And when I applied to USC, they were like, oh, we don't need your GRE score at all. We just want you to do a written assessment. So literally they'll send you a prompt, and it's timed, and you have 30 minutes to answer the prompt, to type your answer, and to submit. And I just was like, oh my goodness, I was so glad that I had, prepared myself. But that prompt was not for admission. It was for my full scholarship to USC. So, I also had to do interviews, so we'll prepare you for those as well. But you definitely want to start that application process early. And the more that we can get information about you, the easier it is for us to set up interviews with decision makers for assistantships and internships that can lead to full hire. One of the things that I stress to Ms. Osame to stress to students is for you to graduate from a graduate program and not have done any assistantships or any type of internship, it's very detrimental to you. You could have a 4.0 GPA and graduate from MIT and have no experience, and you are not as marketable in the job market as you think, because you graduated from a premium school. There are hundreds of thousands of students who have graduated from premium schools with you, and they have experience. These employers are looking for your ability to move into the workforce ready to go. And so the quicker that you're accepted and apply for internships and assistantships, the better your opportunities for being employed after you finish graduate school. So hopefully that was helpful for you. We help you through all of those processes, but the first step is figuring out what it is that you want to major in and making sure you have a set plan for that. I say that because you're interested in PhD, EDD programs, you really want to think about who your major professors are going to be on your dissertation council. The worst thing that you can do is pick the wrong school, and then you decide this is what I want to do, and then you have to transfer to another school that actually has your research trajectory. I'm working with a student right now who finished 3 years at one school, and her person in charge literally transferred to a different school. So she lost her chair, and she was given to me as a referral. And she's like, I do not want to start over. And we actually worked to help her transfer to another school. And she's now back on track for graduation. Whereas if she had stayed at her original school, she would literally have had to be in school for an additional 4 years. And so little things like that. We guide you all the way through that. We'll help you with your dissertation. I mean, we have plenty of people who have gone through the dissertation cycle in the last 40 years. So whatever we can do to make you very successful in the EDD PhD run, that's given. But on the master's run, you still need to think about, where am I going to be employed after I finish my master's? The curriculums are usually very strenuous. if you make less than a B in more than one class at most of the master's programs, you will be dismissed from the program. You also want to look at the grading scale at the program. For example, at USC, some schools are on a 90 or higher as an A. USC starts an A at 94. So many students, after that first semester of grading, were at risk to be removed from the program because they were thinking that they had made A's and they had actually made B's. When they thought they made B's, it actually made C's. So you want to do research on that as well.
Great, thank you so much. A lot of information. We had actually quite a few questions from graduates. That's why I wanted you to speak about it.
Sure.
Amarachi, do you want to unmute and ask your question, Amarachi?
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Thank you. I'm quite excited, but at the same time, I'm a novice in all this. Like everything is sounding very strange. This happens to be my first son. He's 14 and in SS1 and in a pure British school. So this whole thing is looking very strange. I don't even know where to start from. So I had dropped a message and said whether anybody could reach me so that I can have a one-on-one conversation and get a clearer picture on how we could start. Hello?
Okay. Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, so
Thank
that's
you.
what I'm trying to say. I'm not sure where to start at. I'm not sure what next to do because I've been hearing about writing early start, AP and all. So
Yeah.
obviously.
And your son, you said your son is in SS1, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And has quite a good GPA from what I can see. So we had spoken earlier on how we're going to be partnering with schools and then working with them in terms of from SS1. So PSAT will be the first one to take in SS1. And after the PSAT, it will now be the SATs and then the SATs again. So we can definitely work with you on that. Have you dropped your number? Please send your number. Pardon?
I dropped my email.
Your email, yes, fantastic. So I'm going to drop my number on. Joyce, can you put my number for parents on the chat so you can contact me direct as well, so that I can take your questions one-on-one direct if you want, so that we can help. Yeah. So okay. So so because there's a lot that we have to go through with you, and it's good that you're starting earlier. I want you to be part of the Yale scholarship program as well for your son. For parents who are in SS2 and SS1, you can do that. You can join the Yale scholarship program, which is also good. So I think I just let me see what we can quickly do. Ayobami, are you here? Can you quickly go through your slides just to talk about the Yale scholarship program?
Yes, I am.
Oh, great! You're welcome. Please, Dr. Bell, don't go anywhere, just in case we still have some questions. We just quickly take Ayobami's slides quickly. Thank you for joining us, Ayobami. Do you want to share?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have you been given? Are you host? Co-host?
No, I have sent request. Okay.
Muiwa, can you make a co-host so she can share? Muiwa, who is there? Let's see,
Okay, whilst we're waiting for the person to make me a co-host, good evening, everybody. My name is Ayobami. As regards the Yale Young African Scholars Program, firstly, it's not a scholarship program, right? So the Yale Young African Scholars Program runs as an intensive program for about 9-10 days for students that want to school, outside of their home countries. And I'm just going to read through the criteria, right? You have to be between the ages of 14 to 18 years old. The next program would be held in July 2025. And then you have to currently be in SS2. So you must have one more year of high school after the program. So if you were to go for the program summer of 2025, it means that by fall 2025, you're going back to your last year of high school. As regards 2025, there's two programs. There's the online college prep workshop, and then there's the residential leadership summit in Kenya. That's for 9 days, right? So you can opt to do any of them. there's a whole application that you have to do. The application itself is free of charge. Depending on the students, financial capabilities, they are able to provide travel grants for you to make your way down to Kenya. So the location changes each year. When I went in 2018, it was in Ghana. So there's 2 applicant pools. For early action. You had to have submitted your application by the 24th of October, 2024. For those of you that would still be interested, the deadline for regular decision, which is the second applicant pool, is 20th of January, 2025. So you do have to get recommendation letters. You have to get your activities list ready. You have to get essays ready, and also still do the application between now and the 20th of January. And you would be receiving your decisions. It's basically like a college application. And then you'd be receiving your decisions by late March. So you have ample time to prepare to travel in July. So that's just the brief overview as regards to the Yale Young African Scholars Program. The people that would be mentoring you, they'll do 2 days training for SATs, just for you to know what it looks like. They'll do 2 days college fairs, and then 2 days of how classes would look like if you were to school in the US. So majority of the people that would be coaching you would be students from your university. So, graduate students, some undergraduate students. And after the program, you now have access to a mentor who's like someone that went through the Yale Young African Scholars Program themselves, and they can guide you up to the point of you resuming school. So you just have the utmost support even outside of school, because they're able to get you resources, give you access to schools and things like that. Not schools per se, but scholarship resources that not everybody would necessarily have. So that's for the Yale Young African Scholars Program.
So you can share now, Ayobami. You have exactly 10 minutes to rush through because we're running late. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're sort of waiting for you to come up, so I was taking questions.
Oh, thank you. I'm tired of Lagos traffic, but it's fine. Okay, great. So I'm basically talking about USA admissions progress. The goal of this meeting is just to help you make informed decisions as you move forward in your admission journey. So I have run through your Young African Scholars Program already. Now look at steps to becoming an international student. And so now that's broken into, 2 separate parts, because you have steps before admission and then you have steps after you've been accepted into school. So the first step is for you to plan. You have to pray, make sure that you're on the right track. You need to know your budget. So not everybody's going to be fully funded. And there are certain schools that you can actually attend, even if you get partial scholarships from those schools, because your parents can afford the rest. But you need to know your parents' budgets before you even begin applying at all. And then the timeline that you have. As of now, if you want to resume school for 2025, you literally have the last round of at the admission process, which is the regular decision to, run around and do everything that you need to do. Step 2 now would be, to evaluate. Now you need to look at the Common App. Are you going to be able to finish it? Look at all the things that you're asking of you, recommendation letters, essays, activities list, and things like that, and how long it's going to take you to get it. Then financial aid. For a lot of students, this kind of just drags on and on because everybody just takes it with laxity, and you have so many things that you need to fill out, so many forms and documents that you need to submit to schools, which is also why you need to start applying or preparing early. Now, step 3 would be where you would actually act. You'd actually, apply using the Common App, using the Black app, using the Square application, using the Coalition app, using the schools application. There's so many ways to apply to schools. And then you now have to do your financial aid application again, especially for schools, whereby the deadlines are the same. For the Common App and the financial aid, it would make more sense to submit your Common App way before, so that you're in the system, you have access to your application portal before you submit your financial aid application. This might sound like gibberish to a lot of people, but now step 4 would be to review your plan alongside your progress. You want to make sure that every single thing that you have to do, you know exactly what you want to do and how you should do it. Now, step 1, what is your plan? Well, so that's what's your goal? What exactly are you intending to achieve? Because some people just want to get into school, and so your admission process, your timeline will be different from someone that is strictly just waiting for a fully funded scholarship. Your budget would be the total cost of attendance, because your tuition is not your entire fee. So a school that says tuition is $30,000, that's not all you have to pay. You still have to pay for room and board. Then when you reach to resume school, there's the fall semester, there's the spring semester. Fall is August, spring is January, and summer is May, June. But not a lot of schools are going to take international students for summer semester, except maybe like graduate students. Then deadlines. Keep in mind that for the US, their date arrangement is the month, the day, and then the year. So if you were to have 1/6/2025, it means that application is actually due the 6th of January, not the 1st of June. So keep that in mind. The documents that you need to have ready, your transcripts are going to go to every single school. Recommendation letters, some schools don't ask for them, but it would make more sense for you to submit, between 1 to 3. Now, test scores, NACS evaluation, your WASI scratch card, those are things that not every school is going to ask you for it, because, some schools are test optional. Some schools don't ask for evaluation. Some schools are fine with your transcript, so they don't need your WAEC scratch card. Step 2, when you're evaluating, you look at the Common App, your program of interest. You're able to do accelerated programs, which is like finishing a 4-year program in 3 years. You're able to do a dual degree, so you can do finance and chemistry. You can do accounting and UI UX design. You can do a dual degree also. You can do a 3+1, so that would be like a bachelor's and master's in 4 years, for normal 4-year degrees. While for engineering students, most of the times they give them 4+1, which would be like bachelor's and master's in 5 years. So there's no stress of having to look for doing the extra graduate school application, because you're already a candidate in that particular school. Then major and minor, you can decide to major in math and do a minor in chemistry, computer science. The minor is not your actual degree, it's just for you to be able to explore other areas of interest that you have, whilst still getting your money's worth for it. Now, financial aid, there's 3 ways to be funded by school. Some schools have grants and loans, and you would see that, but very rarely would they offer you grants and loans as an international student as part of your financial aid. So merit-based scholarships are scholarships that you just get simply because of your strength academically, right? You don't have to do anything. You just have to be accepted into the school, and then they're going to give you the scholarships based on your GPA, your essay, whatever it is that is their criteria. And then need-based scholarships are like, as the name implies, it is exactly what you need. For certain students, the total cost of attendance is 50,000. They can probably afford 10,000. They get merit scholarships of 20,000. They still have $20,000 to cover. And so a school that has need-based scholarships in that instance would cover it for you, but you have to do a separate application for that, which is where the CSS profile would come in, the certificate of finances, the ISFA, the ISAFA, which are like forms that you have to fill. You have to submit income statement, bank statement. Then I like to call competitive scholarships the ones that you have to go the extra mile for, which are like the Hickson scholarship now at William and Mary. You have to compete with other students from all over the world for it. You have to do a separate application. For certain competitive scholarships, you kind of have to, do a series of interviews and essays and videos and things like that. So knowing all of these things would also help you in choosing the school that you want to apply to, especially if you know that, you don't have the stress for all of this. So after these 2 steps, now you should be equipped to act. And acting means, submitting your actual Common App application, because now the schools you want to apply to, the documents they're asking you for, the deadlines, the type of financial aid that you need from that school or that school has to offer you. So I typically always advise students to submit their Common App. If you submit it today, within 2 weeks, have your financial aid application ready, because firstly, it helps you keep track of things. You're able to still talk with the school and be like, have you guys received anything? Is there anything that's missing from my application? Things like that. And you have ample time to still go back and make sure that you have submitted everything way before the deadline. So whatever technical glitch, whatever glitch that wants to happen, you're still on the safe side. Okay. So now step 4, to review, just make sure that you're on the right track. So you've looked at your first plan. If your first plan was to be fully funded and the schools you have chosen, in no way are they going to be able to fully fund you, then it means that you're not on the right track. You need to go back to your drawing board and look at schools that you're selecting, right? Now, confirm. Now, after admission, right, you have 4 more steps. You need to verify. You need to confirm the financial aid that the school has given to you. You have so many students that would be like, oh, I'm fully funded by the school. Meanwhile, they only have their tuition covered. They still have room and board to pay. So you need to make sure that this is my total cost of attendance. This is how much the school has to offer me. And then you can now verify with the school, do you have this? I applied for this. Did I get it? All sorts of things like that. Because there are different offices that are in charge of different money. Let's use that English, right? Now, the second step would be to evaluate your Common App and financial aid. Again, make sure that everything is correct. Double check. Make sure that every single thing on your application checklist is done. Make sure that on your applicant portal, all the things they're asking you for, you've done it. Anything you do not have or that is still pending, whether from your side or from their side. So you have instances where you submitted your document, it's showing pending on your applicant portal. The deadline is tomorrow. You need to reach out to the school and ask, have you guys actually received it? Is this a technical glitch or not? So you know whether you need to reach out to your school to resend it or you had to resend to them. Because remember, for a lot of schools, if you submit your Common App, let's say the deadline is tomorrow, you submit your Common App today, and your supporting documents are not in, recommendation letters, transcripts, for a lot of schools, right, it means that the application was not complete and you would be pushed to the next cycle. So your Common App is not enough. You need to make sure that every other thing that's going is going with it, okay? Now the other step would be you still need to act by applying for certain schools. It's after you have been accepted into the school that you can apply for financial aid. I think it's Skidmore, until you have been accepted before they even check your CSS profile or before they ask you to fill the CSS profile. So you still have certain schools that even when you're done with your Common App, you are doing your financial aid application after you've been accepted into the school. Then obviously still review it again and make sure that all of the things are the same alongside your plan. So the ideal timeline from before admission to resumption is 9 to 11 months. So think about it. I want to resume school fall 2025. Fall 2024, I need to start preparing. I need to get my application ready, my documents, start reaching out to your teachers and things like that. So if you're the class of 2026, you should start preparing by August 2025 for maximum results. Now, this is not to say that some people don't finish the application under 2 months, but everybody's different, right? So this is 9 to 11 months, meaning that no matter how slow you are, you should be done with that. And no matter how fast you are, within that period of time, you're done. Okay. I think I did a good job at being fast, right, Ms. Osimia? So I'm done with my presentation.
Thank you. That was like fast track. A lot of information for participants and people who attended. Actually, this is the most loaded one, I would think, in our webinars, that we've gotten some really good information. Thank you so much. I think we would have to absolutely stop now because we've overshot the time. We've tried to answer the questions, but what we ask is that please get in touch with us, and we put our consultation, you put your numbers on. Please put your numbers there so we can get in touch with you. I know that there's some questions that we're not able to expatiate on, but Dr. Bell was so kind to expatiate on the graduate aspect and also the quite a lot of people who want to study medicine. So she was able to talk about that, but you certainly would be able to work with us once you contact us. We're there for you. Like Ayobami has told you, regular decisions are on, so you can still apply. Regular decisions, I think, max by January, February, right, is what we're looking at, that it will be a little more difficult to apply and get scholarships after that date. But then the process starts all over again. It starts again. So students who are in SS1 and SS2 continue to work with us until the point that you now have to go to college. So at least you are with us and all of that. And with the Yale one, just a question, you said it wasn't a scholarship. What's the benefit for students who, that's the final question I'm going to ask. What will be the benefit for students who want to do the Yale program? And a young man who we were talking to earlier wants to know he's in SS2. Can he still apply? Because he will graduate SS2 this year.
Okay, so you have to go back to high school after the program, right? So even if you're in SS2, right, and you're graduating SS2, we're not eligible to apply. Now, the benefit of the Yale Young African Scholars Program, or the YYS, YAS, as we usually call it, is actually just the support that you get and how it looks on your application. Schools are, very, very happy to see that you've taken the extra mile, you've done the extra work to see to your own admission process. Keeping in mind that the program is for only 150 students all over Africa. So even you being able to be selected for that program and successfully finishing now, not just being selected for the program, successfully finishing shows that it just looks good on your application and shows that you're able to commit to something and finish it. It means that you're a strong applicant for whatever school you're applying to. And also the support that you get, because even after the 9-day program, right, you have access to those mentors for life. You have access to resources. You can literally reach out to them for anything. They do Duolingo test waivers for students that can't afford it. There's a lot of resources in the sense that there's a database that you get access to for scholarships at different schools, not just in the US now. New York University is in Abu Dhabi now, they're in Singapore and all of that. So even branches of schools that are in the US, even schools that are not in the US, you have access to all of those resources from them. And you have someone that's going to hold your hand, someone that is currently in college, right? Someone that's also been fully funded through that path or even partially funded. So you have that person holding your hand up to the point whereby you're a student at a college, whether in the US or whatever country you choose to go to at the end of it all. And then some students are able to connect with admissions personnel right at that program, because there's a 2-day fair where also the schools, would come in, give you their card. You have students already winning interview sessions and things like that. Depending on how proactive you are at the program, you also get SAT prep also at that program. It's kind of intensive, but take it because it's free. So that's
great. Thank you, Ayobami. Thank you, Dr. Bell and Ayobami. This is the last question I'll take, and this is very close to my heart. So I'll ask Dr. Bell to speak, please, to students who are special needs, what we call our special needs students, who would want to come to the US for the college. What are the kind of services that will support them with? If Dr. Bell can speak to that, and then Ayobami also, please, if there's anything you want to add to what Dr. Bell is saying. Because we have we have them with us now, and they would love to come to the US.
That's an excellent question. Most universities in the United States have a department for disability services under the ADA. It is a federal regulation in the United States, the American Disabilities Act, which is set aside for students to give accommodations. And the accommodations are based on their 504 plans here in the United States. Basically, there's a range of accommodations. It could be that a student might be on the autistic spectrum. It could either be other health impairment. And that's a rolling accommodation. So for example, I had accommodations. I sprained both of my wrists. And for a season, I had to have someone to pull all of my book bag and all of my athletic wear with me when I was going from place to place. And so that fell under ADA. So those programs, you would want to apply to school early so that you would be able to upload your information into their ADA department. They usually have a separate department that just have specialists that deal with your specific accommodation. Once they are aware of those accommodations, be they medical, physical, some of the accommodations, I work with vocational rehab here in the United States. And for example, I have a student right now who's at the University of Mobile, and her accommodation says that she has to have a magnifier because she has a corneal replacement issue where she can have a magnifier to magnify words, and then she also gets an additional hour and a half for her hour-and-a-half test, because the print has to be, all of her tests have to be made in larger print so that she has the same testing opportunities. One of the things that I would tell students who have accommodations is to not feel any type of shame or guilt. You have earned the right to ask for those accommodations, and you need to advocate for yourself. Yes, your parents will advocate for you, but once you come to a university in the United States or a university anywhere globally, you will be your own agent of action. So feel very comfortable to have your accommodations. I tell my students to have it in a folder and have an electronic copy with you at all times, so that if your teachers are asking you, what do I need to do to make this class more accommodating for you, you can easily give them a paper and pencil copy, but you can also send them an email that states all of the things that you need for your accommodations. But there are lots of programs in the United States that are connected to all schools now. With ADA, all schools have to apply and abide by whatever ADA accommodations you have, but there are schools that have specific programs based on your disability. So I'll use the University of South Alabama as an example. They have an it's called an Excel program, Exceptional Education Program. It is strictly for students with accommodations. Those students are grouped together in their classes. They're grouped together in where they live. They create their own community for them. And it has been phenomenal. Those students graduate on time. They're given internships and externships that are based on their ability levels. So I would say focus on your ability, not on your disability, but be aware that there are accommodations available for your disability.
Great, thank you. Thank you. Ayobami, do you have anything you want to add to that?
I think what I would just say is that a lot of colleges, like Dr. Bell has said, they're very accommodating. You actually just have to communicate it to them. It also has to do with the fact that so many people are so ashamed of their disabilities that they would rather not talk about it and suffer in class. When I was in school, I had classmates, that would have someone bring them to class. When I worked at housing services, we have certain rooms for students with disabilities. They would take out their beds, bring the ones that they use from home. They have accessible toilets and things like that. There's enough resources for you to explore, for you not to actually use it. You can excel, so why not take all the resources that you have? And also the fact that, your professors, they want to work with you. It's not like, Nigeria. They want to work with you. They want to make sure that you excel. They want to make sure that you're comfortable in class. And at the end of the day, just make sure that make sure that you don't feel uncomfortable communicating your needs. I feel like that's just the thing. Communicate really well with your professors. Email, that's your best friend. Email everybody, copyable, and you're good to go.
Excellent. Thank you. We are supportive of all our students, including special needs. We are working with them right now to process the admission to go to college. And we know that we're choosing the colleges. That's why we're working with Dr. Bell and Ayobami to make sure we get the right school for them, the right support. There's a lot of support, as we've heard, and carers and all of that. Whatever you want, it's available in the US. They're very, very, very open to that, to supporting all students from diverse cultures, diverse needs. So great, great, great. So I think that is it for tonight. It has to be it, because we spent nearly 2 hours, over 2 hours on this. So I want to thank all our speakers. Ayobami, thank you very much. Dr. Bell, thank you. And FM, thank you so much, all our speakers and all the people in the back end. Joyce, Charles, Shalom, Muiwa, putting all this together for us to have this powerful webinar. I think it's very, very good. We learned a lot, and all our parents and our students that joined us, thank you so very much for joining us. And we hope that we will certainly be communicating with you so that the process can start. Whether it's SS1, SS2, SS3, we're here for you. So any questions that you want from us, please just text us or get in touch with us. Definitely. And the lady in Canada, it's still possible to apply. She wanted to know whether it's still possible to apply in not early action, but regular decision. It's regular decision now. So, but it's still possible to apply until, say, January, February. So you need to quickly start working on it now. There's a lot of work to be done. Thank you, and God bless you. Have a lovely weekend. Thank you, and a good week ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.